Thanks for watching this presentation, and don't forget to like this video. Please leave your comments and subscribe to the channel for previous videos and more videos coming to our RailFan playlist.
you go to flexibles, and your flexies, yeah, that is, and those on the 4000, the actual cup is cut into the boiler shell that these sit in. On the 800, yeah, they have a cup welded into the boiler shell, and your flexible sits like that. And those can move 2.5 degrees as the boiler expands and contracts, and the water sloshing back and forth. The inner portion of that's moving around quite a bit, and you've got to let it move, or it's going to start busting bolts. And that's how it's done. And these, you know, that's all pre-shaped and ready to go. It's all really nice finish. And we had all new ones of these made for the ones that were just in horrible condition on the 800, and cut them out. But we tried not to replace a lot of them because they're really a pain in the ass to cut out and then weld back in. So that's where my tools came into play, because all the seats were all screwed up and stuff, and I made these seats that could recut. Just screw this onto the locomotive, put some die-chem on there and cutting oil, and I had a really little small air motor that I could run this cutter on, and I'd get the rough cut done and get it back to square, and then I had my glued on stones glued onto a brass cup, and I'd screw that on and then spin that by hand, and it would stone in this seat perfectly square.
So you did that for hundreds of stray bolts?
I did
Thousand.
Almost 2,200 on the 800 doing these. Yeah, because the way they would fix them before, being lazy, is it would take air chisels and just keep turning the cap and turning the cap and squishing the life out of that little copper ring, and they would still leak. Or they'd get pissed and they'd weld it. Just weld the cap right on. I had 5 when I was doing the 844. I had 5, and they were right in the corner that were welded on. And I had to get in there with itty bitty die grinders and cut all that weld out.
You getting an education?
I am. Thank you, sir.
Told you you have this.
Yeah.
This is exactly getting all the stuff on the caps. And
Anyway, yeah,
I
these
grind them out and resurface them.
made these in such a way where they were disassemblable.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so you can repair the parts.
And we had lots of aluminum stock, round stock sitting around, so I decided to make them out of aluminum where they didn't need to be really strong.
I don't know their
And
names.
You just made your own tools.
I got my
Essentially, I had to make my own tools. And like this, I made that from a 1921 patent application that was never permitted. And I had a picture. I still got that somewhere in my locker. But anyway, I took that design and I adjusted everything. And this piece of steel that I cut all the notches in, this center part, was a piece of scrap metal sitting over in a bin, but it was good hardenable steel. So I machined all the grooves, and their picture, these cutters were sitting straight. I put a 3-degree pitch on it so that the cutters would really dig in. And whenever we had to take, there's 2,700 stay bolts on that 4,000, and I think there's 2,100 are the ones flexibles with the caps welded on over them. So they're sitting in the boiler like that, and then the cap is welded on.
So I heard you talk last night. Thank you very much. It was a good talk. How on earth did you go from basically gunsmithing to working on a 4,000 series locomotive?
I'm flexible.
patience.
You're damn smart.
I like to do things right way or not
Just
at
a
all.
bigger gun.
And when I was sitting on that concrete abutment on the Sacramento River and was blessed by the senior vice president of the railroad to come and sit down next to me and ask me to go to work for the railroad.
It's me.
And I did. And this was fun. Learning all this stuff was fun. I didn't know jack shit about stay bolts when I started. But
Yeah. So where does a long stay bolt like that one go?
if you were to take the boiler back in the firebox area and cut it in half so you could see in where the water is,
Yeah.
it looks like a spider web. So the outer boiler shell, you see that plate right there?
Yeah.
That's up against the windows with all the holes? That's a tube sheet template for the 4000, by the way. And
So you have two of those, one on each
well,
end.
there's one on the smoke box end and one on the firebox end, and there's 21 feet between, and that's how long your tubes are essentially. But anyway, as far as the stay bolts are concerned, your flexible ones, we had a lot of stay bolts that just had to be checked to see what condition they were in. The ball end is sticking out of the boiler shell with a cap welded over it, and we had to take the caps off and see, okay, is this bolt in good condition? Is it cracked? Is it rotted? And you can't see inside. And you're asking about the various lengths. I mean, there's even shorter ones than this, and there's even longer ones than this.
Okay.
And if you,
Cross section of it?
yeah, if you were looking at the cross section of it, it looks like a spider's web.
drawing.
Essentially every square 4 inches, there's another bolt, and another bolt, and another bolt, and that keeps your boiler from blowing up.
Yeah.
But the boiler shell back over the just in front of the cab is round on top on the outside, but the inner firebox is more flat. So you have to reach this distance in the center to hook the two together, but where it goes down the sides, it's only this far apart, so you need little short ones.
So what type of steel are the flue tubes?
As far as what steel numbers they are, you would have to ask Ed or Austin that.
So they're
or Jimmy.
So they're 21 feet long,
Yeah.
but you have no problem getting those if you need
They
some?
come from, I do know they come from Germany.
Okay.
I do
We
know
just bought
that.
ours from Silva's, who got them from Germany.
Yeah.
And where are you rebuilding your engine?
Evanston.
Evanston, Illinois? Where's your roll?
Jimmy John's order. Yeah, we only have 12-foot
whatever
pieces.
it's called.
Okay.
Instead of 21, because it's a single locomotive rather than a double.
So you're rebuilding.
Well, they usually do the whole shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, if there's onions and stuff, I'll just take them off. But, and put yeah,
here.
no onions and just for,
I'm from the Blackfoot Center, so we've got a tiny version.
I don't want to get too
These
complicated.
little login mallees.
Thank you.
We just redid the tubes. Those are 17 feet long. But little compared to.
Oh,
Hill City. Hill City is where our shop is at.
Now, Austin had a company that contracted out, and they built 3 of these, and they were, I think, like $680 a piece, and they were to cut caps off, and they would get clogged with chips, and they were hardened too hard. And you know, when somebody's welding something on, some people do booger welds and some people do beautiful welds. As long as they didn't leak, it didn't matter. So usually a booger weld has a lot of hard spots in it. Well, these teeth would hit those hard spots and rip the teeth right off of these things. So those didn't last very long.
So when you needed to resharpen those, could you do it here or you had to send them back?
Those were to be sent back, but if you knock the teeth off, they said there's no guarantee. So I made mine. Mine doesn't break.
I see.
There's a lot of space for the scrap to leave, but there's the steel bolts between the top and the firebox.
Now this is the same piece that you had to pull in. Right. That was pretty damn nice on the people.
It is. It's a real,
really.
it's a real fine. I think they shot this thing before they retired. There's a lot that, I mean, we found tags on, like on the compressor, it was redone just before it was retired. They kept that thing in pretty good shape. Still own that logo.
Your tube sheets look that good on the inside. That's
44
I'd be happy with those.
And it was donated to the city when they retired in 57. You said it was 06 hours? Yeah, the 06 hours, yeah.
It was used as
It's a yard switcher delivered in 1914, and just basic, except for when it would be on loan. We got a couple of photographs of it being on loan to Ogden for passenger shunting, and then it came back. It's always been. It is evident. But yeah, this is the stable that exists between the top of the.
It's crazy to think about it. They would come through here and be like,
new glasses come in.
So I have a question on that. So on the firebox side on this so you were saying you need to measure the thickness of the walls at, just
okay, the picture he had there, where you had cut the tubes away from the sheet on the firebox side, leave about that much, stick it inside the water space, and do whatever you could to cut away the weld out here in the firebox, and then try to sneak the whole thing out. If you don't, if you can't get it out, take a hacksaw right where your chisel is, very carefully until you adjust your weld, which will weaken it. It's really, really strong.
So they make some big magnets now, that size.
Well, the safety first blue flags, there's a magnetic floppy flag version. That's the magnets for those.
Oh, okay.
They're made so that the wind won't blow them off of the locomotive, so they're really strong magnets. But yeah, that's my little car. That thing, this one was designed to fit in the 800. It fits right in the plug hole. And take a piece of wire and get the string down at the other end and put a string on each end and just pull it back and forth. And
Was
suck
that
it.
one of those nights where you woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning? I got an idea.
Yeah. How the hell am I going to get all that metal out of there? You know, I wanted to put, but you know, you're working in a metal compartment. How the hell can I do this?
Yeah.
And that's what I come up with, was just enough to where it doesn't touch, but the magnet has effect, and the rest of it's made out of aluminum, so it won't get stuck to the side.
Magnetic itself.
Yeah. So yeah, it works. Works pretty good. But yeah.
He probably has a patent.
Well, if you're gonna be putting lots of stay bolts in, which I'm sure you will, you're gonna have tons of metal in your mud ring. And that, to me, that's the best way to do it.
So the fixed stay bolts, that test is audible, and also with the drill?
As far as you're talking rigids, or are you talking rigids? Well, yeah, your drill, the right size drill, should go all the way through. No problem, inside to outside. And the more often you do it, the less hard it is to do it. If you let them sit for a long time and they get rusty and crusty inside, they'll bust your drill bit off. And of course, like on a flexi, you're stuck. How am I going to get that busted drill bit off? And that's another thing that I've still got one stay bolt in the 800 that's got a busted off drill bit in it. And I was working on that when my life started to change for the, not the better. But, and it's still in there.
Do you?
But
I know that you're allowed a percentage of that stable.
yeah, well, you're allowed so many in a certain amount of square inch.
John, is there anything coming out?
And anyway, we tried to strive for none.
Yeah.
And that's the way we stay.
Right.
There are no bad bolts in either one of those.
How about now?
But I've got that one now. You get the drill bit, and well, what I came up with, because I do gunsmithing, I do bluing, and I strip bluing off, and I clean rust off of the metal with phosphoric acid. So what I would do is make up a solution with an eye drop.
Correct. Still haven't reached the lower
And
black.
as long as it's one on the bottom, and which that one is. And I would dribble phosphoric acid in around that drill bit.
Okay.
And that would break up all the rust and crust and stuff around it. And a lot of times after that point, I could get a magnet stick down in that hole, and it would grab that drill bit and pull it out. But it's a tricky process, and it doesn't work every time. And of course, if it's a bolt that's over your head, you only have one option: to drill it out or leave it. But a lot of times, if you take a nice, fresh, clean drill and drill right down to it and clear a nice, clean passage, time will the crystallization of the crap that it got stuck in the first place will break up. And eventually that piece of drill bit will fall out, and you'll find it in the mud. And that was the big thing too, when we were replacing, Jimmy and I were replacing the staples on top. The thing of it is Ed looked both of us in the eyes and said, when you cut one of these off, you do not let go of it, because it'll fall over inside the water space, and you can't get at it anymore.
Between the wall, yeah.
And I had 31 of them that had to come out of the top. And so, again, I came up with my own contraptions, and I found the telltale hole, and because they were rigids that went down inside, straight down from the top sheet into the firebox. Anyway, I had that as a pilot, because they'd been in there so long you couldn't even see where the threads were anymore. And they'd been out in the weather out in California for years. And so I made up a conical cutter that went down inside using the telltale hole as a pilot. And it made the part going through the shell real thin. And then Jimmy would take the cutting torch and on the firebox side, and he would go up in through the telltale hole and cut out just the bolt and let it drop off. And now it's just hanging there with my thin cut piece, and then we designed a pipe with a tapered hole in it that would go up where he torch cut and hold on to the bolt while I hit with a punch
So it wouldn't drop,
and busted it off, and he had to catch it and have it come out of the hole. And we did not drop a single one. And I was really, Ed gave me that ugly eye about you do not let go of one of these.
For sure.
We don't want these things laying around.
It's just more material.
Because you can't get them out. I mean, unless you cut away all the stay bolts leading up to it, it'd be like cutting down a forest to get the one tree. So yeah, we didn't drop any of them.
Are there typically any instances where a bronze bushing, side rod bushing floats in
Ours
the
do.
rod?
Ours do.
Inside and out?
Yeah, a lot of them are. Now the ones in the small end, the wrist pin end of the main, that's pressed in. Or I use liquid nitrogen and I shrunk them and just dropped them in and let them warm up. And I made a pressure fit. And now those are just free on the inside, on the wrist pin itself. They don't float. And they couldn't, because being that's your energy source, it would just hammer
It's
itself to death.
reciprocating instead of rotating.
That's right. It just beat itself to death. But all the rest of them on the side rods and stuff, there's a lot of them that are floating. And the ones going to the crank pins, they're all floating. They're free on the inside. About 8,000.
We've got one bushing in there that looks like it never rotated. It's gorgeous on the inside and gorgeous on the outside. So it threw a doubt in my mind as to whether or not they actually floated, or was it just fixed? And then,
Who was the locomotive manufacturer?
It is a Lima.
It was a Lima product?
Yeah.
You can't find prints for it?
Oh no, we've got them from the Historical Society. But it still doesn't tell me. Well, and I haven't really looked that hard actually, whether or not.
Yeah, the print for that should show it as either floating or not, and it should tell you what your clearance is.
Yeah, that would tell you. Yeah.
You know, of course, the bigger they get, the more clearance you got to have on them because they grow a lot.
Room for lubrication.
Yeah.
We have a couple of them that cracked or broke right now.
Huh?
No, we're kind of
You're talking rod brass?
Yeah. The main side.
I'll let you talk. Austin orders that stuff out. We've got it in stock. Many different sizes.
We've got the material,
And
so
the
it
rough.
can be remelted down.
Well,
and
yeah,
reused.
you can. Your scrap is worth quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the scrap is worth a lot. And you have a bullard.
A what?
A bullard
I don't know
machine.
what that is.
That's like taking a lathe and turning it on its side.
Oh, okay.
Chugging along.